In every major technical transition, you find two types of actors, those standing perfectly still and those racing to place aggressive bets on the future. Right now, ignoring generative AI video feels like the responsible choice. The technology has bugs, the outputs can be glitchy, and legal gray areas are real. But waiting for the dust to settle is a dangerous financial position to hold. We all understand how inflation works. A savings account feels safe, but the math proves your purchasing power is slowly bleeding away. AI-native competitors erode market share the same way, as a silent thief that moves faster than your ability to react. This chart tracks the time it takes startups to hit $100 million in revenue. The dark line represents the AI supernova trajectory, scaling at unmatched velocity. That growth is fueled by continuous leaps in long-term memory and video generation. Sitting on the sidelines isn't a neutral position. When the gap between that supernova growth curve and a traditional one widens this fast, the latecomers aren't just behind, they're effectively invisible to the market. The most obvious barrier is the hardware. Training a video model from scratch can require millions of GPU hours and a massive curated dataset, burning through capital at a rate most businesses can't sustain. Smart engineers solve for this cost by focusing on architectural optimization, rather than just throwing more capital at the server rack. Much of the expense comes from softmax attention, a system where every video token interacts with every other token. To bypass this, researchers developed attention surgery, a framework applied to pre-trained models like WAN 2.1. They isolate a small cluster of nodes to handle the intensive softmax math, preserving fine-grained details, while shifting the rest of the network into efficient, linear connections. This surgery eliminates the need to train a model from the ground up. It drops the required compute to less than 400 GPU hours, a process that takes only a few days on a modest research budget. This transformation proves that the highest technical barriers are often just inefficiencies waiting for a better algorithm. You don't need a massive venture capital round to compete. You need the right surgery. Even with the math solved, the execution feels risky. What if you invest in the wrong tool or generate unusable footage? In finance, investor Ray Dalio mitigates risk through extreme diversification. You don't put all your capital into one stock. That same logic applies to the fragmented AI video ecosystem. There is no single application that perfectly executes every prompt. Instead, we have a market of specialized tools, each built to solve a specific problem. You deploy Google Veo 3.1 when you need audio-native cinematics. You switch to Kling 3.0 for 4K realism, and you use Runway Gen 4.5 to maintain precise creative control. To bridge the gaps, Python scripts using the MoviePy library act as the operational glue, automatically stripping audio, cutting the clips, and stitching shots together. By distributing the workload across a multi-stream workflow, you build an execution engine that is stronger than the limitations of any individual software. Then there is the third risk, the ethical liability, the potential for copyright infringement, and the threat of brand-damaging bias. Warren Buffett's rule is to never invest in a business you don't understand. Modern organizations cannot deploy AI without deeply understanding the datasets and oversight frameworks involved. This framework highlights the specific corporate liabilities we face. Right here in the red row, the primary challenges are societal biases encoded within training datasets and the uncertainty of intellectual property rights. To manage this, you move down to the mitigation strategies. Responsible governance requires rigorous dataset documentation, regular monitoring, and human oversight at every stage of generation. The industry is already moving to meet these standards. Tools like OpenAI's Sora now embed C2PA metadata directly into the files to trace authenticity, adhering to global transparency guidelines from UNESCO and the EU. By implementing these strict governance and compliance frameworks, you convert a terrifying legal liability into a documented, manageable operation. When Jeff Bezos was deciding whether to leave his career to sell books on the internet, he used a concept called the regret minimization framework. He realized the long-term cost of inaction was far heavier than the pain of a short-term failure. We are standing at that exact threshold. From compute-heavy models to open-source solutions like WAN 2.6, the rapid evolution of video generation is the modern equivalent of the early web. The winners in this space aren't gambling blindly. They are dissecting the architecture with attention surgery, diversifying their tools, and governing their datasets. The real risk is the decision to remain illiterate in the language that's currently rewriting the rules of media. In a decade, your biggest professional regret won't be a failed pilot project or a lost subscription. It will be that you left your creative potential sitting in a savings account, while the rest of the world compounded the future.